Look at this kid. Let's freak this kid out. What's this? Come here. Come here, kid. You bring him up here. You grab him. He's going to run away.
Bigger muscles than you, Manu.
I love these kids who get
Come
dressed
on, buddy,
up.
up you get.
Kid. Hey.
Yeah, cool.
You want to step up and do a photo with him?
Yeah. Let's get a photo. What's your name, buddy?
What's your name?
What's your name? You say it in there. What about those teeth?
He's surrounded by Deathstroke and Ra's al Ghul. This is a very intimidating moment.
Oh, you're on video.
Hey, kid. Show us those muscles. You got these big muscles? Hey, nice to meet you, kid. I hope you grow up to be strong, yeah? There you go.
We got some questions. Yeah.
How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, man.
My question is really for Matt, because I know Manu is going to be in the upcoming Shannara TV series as Al-Anon, and I'm looking forward to that. What can we look forward to see you in future projects in?
I'm over in New Orleans at the moment, mate, doing a project called Quarry for Cinemax, like the HBO arm. So I'm doing that. I'll be over there for the next month filming that. So, and then I have a film called Incarnate that's coming out, which is a Blumhouse film with Aaron Eckhart, myself, and a young boy, David Mazouz, who's in Gotham. So that comes out, and then fingers crossed, mate, we might do a little bit more Arrow. We'll wait and see what happens.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Well, they haven't run into each other yet on the show, have they?
No. I mean, Deathstroke, I've got you covered, mate, big time.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm a huge fan of Arrow and of you guys. You guys are awesome in the show. I have one question for the two of you. Do you think we're able to see Ra's al Ghul and League of Tomorrow or make a cameo somewhere there? And will we see Slade in like Arrow in the next season by any chance? Or maybe in Flash?
Look, as far as Ra's is concerned, I think there's, obviously, you know, in the DC comic world, there's lots of ways that they can move, and they've been very clever the way they've set it up. So if I'm asked to come back and represent Ra's again in whatever show that they're doing, then it'd be an honour and a great pleasure. So, like I said, mate, we'll just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. I'd love to keep playing him for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, look, as far as my character and my performance and part of Arrow is concerned, when I finished season 2, I thought we finished on a really high note, and I thought there was a great power building between Arrow and Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. It seems to be kind of like, it's when I said this yesterday, but I'll say it again for you guys who haven't heard it. When I did Spartacus and I got to play Crixus against Spartacus, yeah, right, yeah. Well, you know that journey. You know that journey of brotherhood, where you meet somebody and you become really tightly bonded because of all of the experiences that you share. Well, I think that, the same thing happened on Arrow, like Oliver came onto this island. That's where he began. He began with Slade. Slade told him, I was betrayed by Billy Wintergreen. Everybody in this world is out to get you. Everybody in this world will betray you if they get the chance. It's a human quality. And then in the tragedy, the Shakespearean play out of Arrow, Slade is led to believe that there's been this great kind of betrayal of Shadow, and it's cost her life, and he wasn't there to protect her. And then comes the Mirakuru, and the whole thing becomes very, complicated. I think the reason why the fans are into that relationship so much is it's got that origin evolution to it. And, in season 3, I was waiting around for the producers. They asked me to come back, and they brought me back for one episode, Yeah. And that episode was hum-ha, it was like, Deathstroke came back for a minute, then went back to the prison, and it didn't really evolve. So, I'm looking for strength in my acting. I'm looking to go places with it where I can really make strong characters work. And, I've taken on a new role with Shannara. Playing this pretty badass druid. I think when you get to see it, it's like I'm playing a role that's like a little bit like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit meets like Crixus. You know, he's this wizard, but he's like really badass, and he fights. You know, and I'm really liking it. It's a great character to play. Now, what will happen with Arrow is I hope that strong storyline comes back into it.
Hopefully.
And you know, I mean, the Suicide Squad.
That's awesome.
I mean, you know, what's the Suicide Squad if Deathstroke doesn't actually step into it and help sort of formulate that as well? So, but you know, it's really up to writers and you know, the fans wanting it and stuff like that to make it work. So, you know, here's to hoping there will be a comeback.
I also have one more question. Who do you think will win a fight between Slade and Ra's al Ghul? Like, your opinion.
I tell you what, both of us play rugby, right? So the origins of probably our physical selves, you know, we're both Aussie, Australia, New Zealand boys who grew up playing rugby, and we've both probably brought that side of who we are as men who have been in contact sport into our characters. And so it's probably who would win a game of rugby, more
exactly.
like. And he played for the toughest team in Australia and was one of the best players, you know, going back with our rugby legends. So I wouldn't want to play him on the field.
No, look, I think that it'd be very even. Yeah. Look, if Arrow beats me, then, you know, then I'm sure Deathstroke have probably got my number as well.
All right, thank you.
Pleasure, mate.
They're both kind of top of the league, so yeah. It's hard to disseminate. When you get asked that question about two really iconic characters, there's not really an answer to it, you know, until it's written.
Yeah, exactly. It's how it's written.
Then you have to just do it.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
I have a question for each of you. Manu, it's funny because you played Slade Wilson. At first, when I watched Arrow, I had forgotten who your character was. I was a great fan of Teen Titans when I was a kid, and all of a sudden I see the orange and black mask, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's Slade. And of course, Ra's al Ghul, who's an iconic villain in all of the DC lore. So I asked each of you, what was it like playing such characters with legendary reputations, which, like, they have this whole, all these stories behind them. What was it like?
Look, for me, it was very daunting. Obviously, reading the mythology and the lineage of Ra's al Ghul, it was, I felt a little bit of pressure, and also the fact that the last interpretation on screen was Liam Neeson, who's, you know, very big boots to fill, and so I was really, you know, I approached it with a lot of trepidation. You know, as an actor, usually I'm pretty good with anxiety. I can manage it and approach it in a way where I feel really quite confident leading into something. But I've got to be honest, coming into this one, having only been told about how enthusiastic and invested the fans were and not witnessing like I am now, I was nervous. But so I really did myself have to invest in the character and find out as much as I could. So hopefully, you know, I've done something that is unique and is a little different from everyone else's interpretation. But the short answer is I had a wonderful time doing it. Thanks, Anthony.
No problem.
Yeah, when it came to auditioning for Arrow, I just gotten back from Kuwait and Afghanistan to doing a USO tour. USO, the American military were really big fans of Spartacus. You know, I guess the reason why they drew some kind of relationship with the show was because we're about a bunch of warriors who were in an arena, and life and death was a daily occurrence. You know, and you watched your brothers die, and you watched your brothers win, and you fought side by side as brothers. Welcome to the brotherhood, the handshake, sometimes covered in blood. And this is the narrative when you're in a military unit.
Right.
And so the US military invited us to come and meet the soldiers that were leaving Camp Arifjan to go up to, you know, Afghanistan and all these different territories over there. And while I was there, I got to know a couple of the Special Forces guys, you know, and I was very interested in their mindset.
Right.
And one particular guy showed me some of the moves that he does, you know, like when he's in special ops, when he has to go in stealth mode into an enemy military camp. You know, they shoot the dogs from a distance. They got snipers that take out the dogs, and they go in and he showed me this chokehold. Has anybody heard how I got the role of Deathstroke in my audition?
I heard this.
Just put your hand up if you've heard how I got the role. Okay, there's only a couple of you, so I'll tell you the story, right? Here I was in Kuwait and Afghanistan, checking out, being with these real soldiers, and I flew from there back over to America.
Huh.
And then I was only going to be there for 3 days, and I was going to fly back and do the Hobbit premiere in New Zealand. When I arrived in LA, I had really bad jet lag. And like the Special Forces guys, they drank 5-hour energy drinks.
Right.
They had them in their pack just in case they got caught in long shootouts and had to stay awake. They might be under enemy fire for 24 hours, 48 hours.
Right.
So you can't just go to sleep.
No,
You've got to sit there and fight for your life. So they would have these 5-hour energy drinks in their packs. So one of them gave me the 5-hour energy drink, and he go, "Here, something to remember us by." On the last day in LA, I got a phone call from my manager who said, "What time's your flight?" And I said, "I'm leaving in 4 hours." She says, "Would you go in before you go to the airport and audition for this show called Arrow?"
Huh.
And I was like, "I've got to be at the airport in 4 hours." And she said, "Just go there right now. They'll give you the script, and you can do a cold read." So I arrive at this casting agency in Los Angeles, and I go in, and there's a whole bunch of young guys walking around like this. It's funny when you go to castings, eh, Matt? And there's a whole bunch of guys that look like you, and they're all walking around reading these scripts, looking really serious and going like, you know, I mean, in the script, it had this one part of the script where Slade Wilson jumps down from the fuselage of the plane and grabs Oliver Queen around the neck in a chokehold.
Huh.
And then holds his knife up and says, "You got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe, kid, or I'm going to cut out your throat box." Right? And I'm sitting there reading this scene, and I see it's got a chokehold in it. And I can see that this character's a military guy, and I just spent all this time with these Special Forces guys. Jump up here for a second, buddy. Okay. Okay, so here I am in my audition. This is my audition for Slade Wilson in Los Angeles. Oh, I forgot to tell you one thing. Just before I walked in the door for this audition, I felt super jet lagged because I'd come from the Middle East. And then I remembered this guy called Knight, the Special Forces guy, had given me a 5-hour energy drink. So I swear on my grave, when I went in for my audition, I chugged this thing outside, and I was on Mirakuru. Literally, I walked in there, and after about a minute, I was like, "Whoa, this is really starting to hit." And then I walked in there, and the scene said, he grabs him in a chokehold. Now, when I was in Kuwait, this one Special Forces guy had shown me this chokehold, and I started to black out. And when he was doing it, he had me in this chokehold, right? And he was in front of a whole bunch of other military guys, and he was trying to show me up. He had Crixus in a chokehold, right? I grabbed him by the nuts as hard as I could, and I squeezed, and I was still blacking out, and I was going, "Argh!" It was funny because Knight told me the next day that he couldn't feel his nuts for about like another 12 hours. But he was a tough guy, you know, this is a Special Forces guy, but, you know, he showed me this thing. So when I got into the audition, I said, "Sorry about this, Matt, it's taken for
I'm
ages,
enjoying
buddy."
it, mate.
So when I got into the audition, I said to the reader, who was standing behind the camera, so all the guys that were going in there were sort of holding midair and just sort of going like, "You got 10 seconds to nobody." And I said, "I want this to be real. Can I have the reader out the front?" And so the reader came through, and you know, Slade drops in from behind and grabs this guy, right, Oliver Queen. Now, I was on a 5-hour energy drink, so I had some extra energy flowing through my body. And the guy said, "Are you ready for your audition?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." And so I grabbed this guy and I said, "You got 10 seconds to tell me something, kid, before I cut out your throat box." Yeah, but the guy didn't start clapping. He passed out onto the ground This is my audition for Arrow, I kid you not. Without a word of a lie, the guy I was reading with was on the floor unconscious. And I'm standing in front of this casting director in LA thinking, I'm never gonna get a job ever again in this town. And I said, dude, is this part of the scene? And he said, no, I think you choked him out. And I went, listen, I've just been in Kuwait. This is a military guy. I've just been with a special forces guy, and one guy showed me a chokehold. And when I read you had a chokehold on this, I was going to use it. And obviously it works. And so the casting agent said, this sort of kid started coming too. I was going, are you okay? And he sort of got up and he was like, yeah, I'm okay. And I went, oh, thanks, kid. And the casting director said, go wash your face in the bathroom. So thanks for your help, buddy. Jump on down. Good
on you, Anthony.
So he went out of the room, and the casting, I said, look, I'm so sorry, mate. I just wanted to make it real. And he said, don't worry about it. It was perfect. And he said, come have a look. So I ran around the back of the camera, and we were watching it on playback, and you could see this kid go. And he said, look, I'm going to send this away, but I think it was pretty solid, and I think you might be in with a chance. And I walked out of it, and I was like, my head was spinning, and I walked out, and my manager rang me, and she said, Manu, how did you go with the audition? I said, I choked the guy out. She went, what? And I said, yeah, but the casting director said it was good, I think. I don't know what's going to happen here. I arrived back in New Zealand in the next day. I watched the Hobbit premiere. I woke up the next morning, and I got a phone call from my manager. She said, they want you for the role. You got to be on a plane tonight and fly to Vancouver.
There you go.
So that's honestly the story of that.
And that I can verify that because I heard that. So I hadn't heard that story from Manu before, but I'd heard it from the crew and the people that are involved in Arrow last year. So it's 100% accurate and true.
Hello. Okay. This question's for Manu. Playing three pretty big characters, who would you say would win in a fight? Deathstroke, Crixus, or Azog the Defiler?
Well, I think what had happened, have you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? Where the guy comes out spinning the swords, and I think Slade Wilson would just pull out his gun and go bang. It's all got to do with the weapons you use, you know. But at the end of the day, weapons are in the heart, and probably my heart response to that would go to Crixus. Because Crixus was a man of really warrior status, and I used everything that I have in my Maori ancestry. I used to do the haka before a lot of the fight scenes that I did. I used to get myself into my warrior, and you know, I really put everything into Crixus. When it came to Slade Wilson, that was kind of a design thing. It felt like Crixus was theatrical, opera, big, everything you've got. And it was like when I went into Arrow, it was more like coming down to playing pop music rather than classical music. And the rhythm changed and the signature changed. Everything was fast. If I beat somebody in that, I'd do it really quickly, flip them over and shoot them or something, you know. So the style changed. But of course, you know, I mean, playing Azog is like the biggest movie on the planet, and he's the biggest character in the movie, and what an honor to work with Peter Jackson. And I mean, I sat in the movie like everybody else and just went, you know, whoa, that's amazing visuals, you know, and was, you know, I still can't believe to this day that, you know, I got to be in that kind of a signature film, yeah.
Were you a fan of Lord of the Rings before you got casted to play in The Hobbit?
Oh, look, ultimately, I'm a bigger fan of Lord of the Rings than I am than The Hobbit, you know, and I'll just say that publicly because I thought the relationships were really tied in beautifully in Lord of the Rings. You know, The Hobbit was an incredible visual and all that sort of stuff, and I loved playing Azog, you know, but that was my favorite of the two. But you know, The Hobbit was a wonderful big adventure as well, you know.
Thank you.
That's just my story.
Hey guys, I just want to know, would you guys ever be interested in reprising your villain roles, maybe in upcoming DC movies? Would that be a possibility?
Oh, I think if they asked me, that's a bit of a no-brainer type of deal. If you know there was a a film where they were going to represent Ra's al Ghul, then you put your hand up. To be quite honest, the way films are made and the way they're put together, that's probably not a realistic type of thing for me as an actor. There'd be, you sort of operate at levels, and so I'm at a level as an actor, and then, you know, there'd be some A-list actors that would jump at the chance to play Ra's al Ghul, like Liam Neeson did. So, although I'd love to do it and be very honoured, it'd be more than, it's very unlikely that they'd ever come to me and say, would you be in this movie?
You know, I think it's funny because I think with what's happened recently, there's more of a chance that television and film can segue. You know, Twilight. You know, you could do a Walking Dead movie and it'd probably be a big hit, you know? So the two formats are getting closer and closer, only because the standard of television and production for television
so much better.
has escalated. You know, like doing Spartacus, we were shooting film, we were shooting Ben-Hur, you know, doing Arrow. You are kind of starting to get toward what people expect from film just because of the quality of the production. You know, I think something had happened recently where they actually took off Deadpool. Oh, sorry, Deadshot. You know, they took off Deadshot from Arrow because they wanted to make him appear in the film, and there was a funny thing that went on there. Okay. It's coming closer, you know. I think that might happen one day. We're kind of like close to the edge of being able to do that, but they didn't select us for this Suicide Squad film and stuff like that. So it's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. Of course, we'd want to do it, but you know, that's just, they're still thinking film, television, but it's going like this, film, television. You get more, I think, out of a television series because they cover a lot more subject matter. So if you're a fan of DC Comics, you know, watch Arrow, watch The Flash. You know, all these television series will give you bountiful amounts of storyline that you'll relate to. Whereas if you go to the movie, Deathstroke might have 2 lines. Ra's al Ghul might come on and go, I'm Ra's al Ghul, and it's kind of, you know, moves very, 90 minutes later, it's over. You know, it's like having a one-night stand or having a relationship. You know, television's a relationship.
I think we got to go, guys. We're just about done. But
yes, unfortunately, we have the costume contest coming up, so we have to say thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
So
Look,
much
it's
for
been a
coming
pleasure,
on.
and I think we're back here for a little while tomorrow. But thank you so much, guys. It's been very humbled by what I've witnessed here over the weekend. And
I'm going to do a deal for, because it's our last afternoon here. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to throw this one out there. If you want a Ra's al Ghul and Deathstroke signed picture, come over to our booth, and for the rest of the afternoon, we'll sign 2 for the price of 1.
There you go. Done.
Done?
Easy.